Hey, good morning, everyone. Real quick, I'm trying to figure out where to start at because it's so much I want to get off my chest, my mind, because this is the thing about us people, man, humanity, that is part of the problem with the world. And it's always been this way since day one, since the jump. And I'm going to start off saying this. When it comes to Adam, which means humanity, every human being is an Adam, because Adam means mankind, a human. So all of us are human beings. But I used to think this years ago when I was younger in the church, didn't realize or look at this verse this way. But when it says in Genesis 2, I forgot what verse, when it talks about how God formed man out of the dust of the ground, and he took a rib out of man, out of Adam, and form one man. A lot of people misquote or don't look at the importance of that verse, because that is basically summing up or saying there that even though God made man first, that's not necessarily saying that woman was second. That's saying that they were made at the same time. A lot of people may not agree with that, or that may not sound right, but they both were affiliated with each other. God made Adam, then that same body that had to do with Adam's body, God took one rib, because he's God. He can do whatever he feels like, whatever he wants to, when he wants to. So the fact is, he took a rib out of man and formed one man. So what I'm trying to say is, and it's even that verse that talks about man shall leave his parents and one day cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. That's another thing people disagree with. They feel like, because I get the part about what Paul said in Ephesians 5 about Christ as the head of the church, and he said, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And he said, wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands. That's true. But with all that being said and done, for years, for centuries, for many cultures and traditions, have a lot of men been looking at that the wrong way. And what I mean is, for example, there's no difference between having authority in one category than it is another. Position is position, power is power. What I mean by that is that if a teacher, majority of teachers, if I'm correct, are probably women, and nothing's wrong with that. So if somebody goes to school and gets taught by a woman, what's the point, or what's the big deal of making that different than going to church and a woman of God being called by God himself? You're basically saying, God, I don't care what you did or approved of. I don't want this woman to be the head of the, well, nobody who's the pastor is the head of the church, let me remind you, because God himself is in control. He's in charge. So whoever he calls or allowed to be the pastor is underneath him. Then it's that person's job to be the shepherd of the church and to teach God's people. But God is still doing the teaching through that person. That is, if they were called by God and they're not a false prophet. So what I'm trying to say is, the problem with society is that we can't come on one accord. We can't agree to disagree and be at peace with one another. We get mad because this person likes this person. That's the problem with us, because we don't know how to work things out. And all I'm trying to say is that if it wasn't for women like me, if it wasn't for my mother, I wouldn't be here right now. That's every human being, even woman. If it wasn't for their mother, they wouldn't be here right now. So the importance of that is, why do I see a lot of men on TV, or a lot of men I may personally know, or whoever, seem like they're being sexist, like they have things against women? Like I said, man is no different than woman. What I mean by that is, we all sin. We all do different things. Like, we all laugh. We all eat, we all use the bathroom. The only difference is we look different on the outside. But in reality, in God's eyesight, we're no different. It's only one race, the human race. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Latino, etc., male, female, skinny, fat. That's really all I'm trying to say. But the way we sit there and share our feelings and everything makes it seem like you're a woman, so you can't do this like a man can. Well, not necessarily. Now, let me say this. When it comes to a relationship, if a woman is trying to be a man and trying to do a father thing, that's a different story, because she can only do so much. Even though what I mean by that is this, like if a man doesn't want to step up and take care of his children, then yes, the woman is being a mother and a father temporarily until a man steps up and joins the relationship and does what he needs to do to help her out. But still, she will always be a woman, so she cannot be a real father like a man because she's a female. So she can only really be a mother, but for the time being, she has to be a mother and a father because no man is in the child's life at the moment. It's the same thing with a man. Like, what I look like saying I'm a man, but I'm not doing what a man is supposed to do to take care of his woman, to supply, pay the bills and stuff. But that's another thing that I'm trying to say that makes the whole point crystal clear. It doesn't matter if you're man or woman. If you love each other and if you love God, you're going to work things out together. You all are one. That's what the Bible says. When you get married, you become one flesh. One flesh means you all are supposed to walk together. Even if you all don't agree, you all are supposed to be like able to work something out. Like, so just because I'm the man doesn't mean that I call all the shots. No, that means that we should be able to agree. Even if I don't like something that my wife may say, I'm supposed to sit there and either accept it or we're supposed to have a civilized conversation to work things out. So I'm just saying all that though, because it's funny how, man, we're the only issue with the world. God doesn't have a problem with his other creation. All these trees out here, the cloud, the moon, the animals, it's us. Because we want power. We want authority. Nothing's wrong with that. But when you want it to the level where you put other people down and you think that you're better than other people, like something's wrong with that picture. And lastly, I'm going to say this. Like, I was talking to a buddy of mine on Messenger this morning, and he told me, he made a good point. He said how a lot of men may want a woman, or they may not mind her being a mayor, a governor, even a judge and things like that. But when it comes to something like a president or a pastor in the church, they have issues with that. Well, my question is, why? Well, I'm not going to say why because I already know the reason why. But I meant to say, a job is a job. Power is power. You have power if you're a manager. You have power if you're an owner. So the point is, what's the difference between being a police officer / state trooper or sheriff versus being a judge? Or all I'm saying is that I think a lot of people look at the fact that if a woman is going to be a pastor, the head of the church underneath Jesus, who's the head, or if she's going to be like a president, and by the way, this has nothing to do with like the election. I'm just saying in general about how people look at different things, about how they have an issue with a woman doing this. But in God's eyesight, and Paul even said this in Romans or Galatians chapter 1 about when you're born again, you're no longer male nor female, Greek nor Jew. So when we die, even though I know that time hasn't come yet, but when the future comes, it's not going to be about because when you become a spirit, what we technically are, but God made us out of the dust, so eventually we're going to return to ashes, ashes, dust to dust. But the key thing is this. In reality, when it comes to eternal life, whether it's heaven or hell, there's not going to be no more male nor female. We're all going to be spirits. And with us being spirits, there's no such thing as male or female. That's really how it is now. The only difference is there is a separation, because in order for people to be born, man and woman have to have sex. So that's the reason why it's man and woman. But I'm saying in reality, in the spiritual world, there is no male nor female. We all shed blood that is red. It's different types of blood, type A and A negative and whatever else. But the whole point that I'm getting at is that it shouldn't be, that's like me trying to separate sin. That's like me saying that robbing a bank is no different than killing somebody. Sin is sin. So that's the same thing I'm saying now. There shouldn't be no level of power. Power is power. It's just about how to use it the right way. So if I'm a teacher at school, that position is no different than me being a pastor at the church. Yes, I'm gonna have different roles, different duties to do. But the point is, I have a job to do, and I need to do my job the right way. So we don't live in a world, we don't live in the 1900s no more, the 1800s, all these other years where men sat the majority of the time and did this and did that. We live in a different society. We live in a different generation. So if God can call a man to do this, don't you think he can call a woman? Because that's what I get from people when they have an issue with a woman doing something. They're basically telling me that God is not able, or putting thoughts and words in God's mouth, when in reality, I see God not having a problem with a woman being a pastor or a woman being a president, because God made us all. Man didn't make each other. We didn't make woman. Woman didn't make man. So what I'm trying to say is, we make such a big deal about who does this and who does that. Now, let me say this last part and I'm done. But if you're talking about a household, if a woman is trying to run everything and call the shots, yes, that's wrong. But also, if a man is not doing his job and a woman is frustrated, because that happens a lot today in society, if a woman has a man who doesn't want to step up and be a man and is lazy and stuff like that, why do you think she's frustrated? Because she wants a real man who's going to take care of her and treat her right, love her, pay the bills, etc. Maybe not all the bills, but I'm saying pay like the top majority bills. Then the woman is the help meet. So when you need help in a certain area or category, she's going to come in and help out. So all I'm trying to say is that that's the way life is. So it shouldn't matter if a man or woman does this position or not. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, man is always going to think that way, but in reality, it don't matter if you're a man or a woman. That's all I'm trying to say. That sounds stupid to a lot of people, but in the spiritual world, that's the truth. Because once again, when the Bible even says, I think in some verses, that when we die, and when it comes to people and in the future world to come, eternal heaven and hell, there's not going to be no more male or female. No more of all these different race like Italian and Mexicans and Chinese, Asian. It's not going to be no more of that. That's the true reality of it. But of course, we're going to deal with that here on earth right now. But all I'm saying is that when I see people look at women a certain way, and I tell myself, I bet you those same people who are saying that would have a problem if the world was made up with nothing but man, because they'll mess around and get frustrated and mad and sit there and be like, man, I need a woman. I miss making love and stuff like that. So that's my whole point. We couldn't make it in the world without women. And the bottom line fact is, when you sit there and speak down to any of God's creation, especially in this case, a woman who God made to be the help meet of the man, the whole point here is that God is not pleased with that, because we have to learn how to love one another and to be acceptable, be respectful, be caring and things of that nature. So don't sit there and just think because God didn't don't think that because this person is this, that they're not supposed to be doing it. That's looking at the outside. And 1 Samuel, I forgot what part, it says man looks at the outer appearance, but God looks at the heart. So that's all I'm really trying to say to sum it all up, that it's not about if you're a man or a woman. That really doesn't matter. We've been thinking that for years, but in reality, it doesn't matter if you're a male or a woman. The reason why is because we all are sinners. We all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And also because whether you're a man or woman, you still come from the human race. You're still an Adam. You're still a human being. That's all I'm trying to say. So once again, this has nothing to do with the election. And by the way, I don't even really deal with politics. I don't deal, because let me say this last part. It didn't matter who won the election. Now, let me rephrase that. It did, as far as different things going on, but I don't like either one of them is what I'm trying to say. But that's my prerogative. But what I'm mainly trying to say is this, that regardless of who's going to be president, past, present, future, that's not going to stop the killing. That's not going to stop people from acting crazy and raping women and men going and robbing banks, or a woman that's not going to stop man's sins from going on. That's all I'm trying to say. Until Jesus comes back and straightens things out, nothing's going to get better. And that's not me. That's according to what the word of God says. So that's really all I'm trying to say. So other than that, just say to God be the glory, and may you all have a blessed, wonderful day.